Alright guys, we need to have a serious conversation about
They owe me a championship fight. I'm 3-1, last 4. The King of my house begged me to fight Max Holloway on UFC 300. What I consider it an exhibition fight. I don't mean that the loss is not on my record. I mean it had nothing to do with the rankings of my, in the.
Wait, hold on. Wait. I thought the Max Holloway fight was like an exhibition, so therefore it doesn't count to the rankings and he should still get a title shot. This might be one of the best excuses I've ever heard from a fighter. It's like up there with the lights blinded Sean O'Malley in the first Merab fight and Paulo Costa was drunk before he fought Israel Adesanya. Like, this is up there with some of the best excuses ever. Nah, it was just an exhibition fight.
Rankings wasn't for anything relevant to title contention, so it shouldn't hurt his status. But let me stop right there. This is the UFC, not a charity or some boxing-style exhibition match with headgear and oversized gloves. This was Max Holloway, one of the greatest featherweights of all time, and Gaethje got knocked out cold in front of millions on the co-main of one of the biggest events in UFC history. Calling that an exhibition is one of the most bizarre takes I've heard in years. It's up there with Paulo Costa saying he was drunk before the Adesanya fight, or Sean O'Malley blaming the lights in the Merab rematch. Like, what are we doing? This is the UFC. Every fight counts unless you're literally fighting outside of the promotion. You don't get to just pick and choose what you want on your record because it's inconvenient. And even if we entertain his claim that the Holloway fight wasn't ranked based, that still doesn't excuse the result. You got slept, Justin. Highlight reel KO. You think that doesn't affect how fans, matchmakers, and other fighters see your place in the division? Now, Gaethje's big argument is this. While he was doing the UFC a favor by fighting Max, Dustin Poirier, who Gaethje previously beat, was out here fighting Benoit Saint-Denis and then getting a title shot. And because Dustin got that opportunity, Gaethje feels like he should be next in line. But here's the thing. Poirier's title shot wasn't handed to him out of merit alone. It was a matter of circumstance. Charles Oliveira was supposed to fight Islam Makhachev in a rematch, but pulled out with an injury. The UFC needed a replacement, and Dustin was the biggest available name. That's it. It wasn't a reward for beating BSD, it was a business decision, the same way Nate Diaz fighting Leon Edwards was a business move. It's not always about who's ranked where, it's about timing and name value. Dustin was the right guy at the right time, and there wasn't a clear #1 contender when Charles pulled out. Justin's mistake is thinking that situation applies to him. It doesn't. Because right now, the landscape looks completely different. You've got Armand Tsarukyan, who just beat Charles Oliveira and was lined up for a title shot before he had to pull out. You've got Max Holloway fighting Dustin next month, and you still have Charles, who despite recent setbacks, is always a name in the mix. There are at least 3 guys ahead of Gaethje in the pecking order, and let's not forget, Justin's most recent win is a close decision against Rafael Fiziev, who wasn't even top 5 at the time. Meanwhile, he was violently knocked out by Max Holloway in what he now calls an exhibition. But in the UFC, there's no such thing. That KO happened. It's not a rumor, it's not a debate. It was one of the most brutal knockouts of the year. Gaethje's logic falls apart when you really examine it. He says he deserves a shot because he beat Dustin a while ago. Okay, but if we're going by that logic, then Charles Oliveira should be ahead of Justin because he beat Gaethje, and Arman just beat Charles. It's a chain of dominance that leaves Justin firmly outside of the top 3 in terms of title shot priority. The truth is, the UFC title picture has changed. The criteria have changed. Years ago, the #1 contender was the automatic next man up. Now, it's about who makes the most sense financially, who brings the most hype, and who the fans are excited to see. And the unfortunate truth is, Justin isn't that guy anymore. And then we get to Ali Abdelaziz. Of course he wants Justin to fight Islam for the belt. He manages both guys. That's double pay for him. Ali's doing his job, trying to negotiate the best outcomes for his fighters. But let's not mistake that for Justin being entitled to a title shot. Islam has said he wants to fight Gaethje too, but let's be real. It's only because Islam's already fought and beaten Charles and Arman. Justin would be the fresh matchup, and that's why Islam is entertaining the idea. Not because Gaethje earned it, and it gets worse. Justin's manager floated this idea that if Gaethje doesn't get the title shot, he might retire. But Justin himself didn't really say that. What he did say was that he won't fight unless he's paid a ton of money. And look, I respect that. Fighters should get paid. Justin's been in wars. He's sacrificed his body and given fans some of the most violent, entertaining fights we've ever seen. But that doesn't mean he's owed a title shot. If anything, he's already been rewarded multiple times. He's had 2 chances at undisputed gold, and both times he got finished. First by Khabib in the second round, then by Charles in the first. How many more opportunities does he think he deserves without beating elite contenders in the current top 5? And let's talk about that Christmas bonus comment. Gaethje compared getting a title shot to a loyal employee getting a year-end bonus. But title shots aren't bonuses. Bonuses are your 50K's fight of the night checks. Justin has more than enough of those. Title shots are like being promoted to CEO. You don't just get that because you've been around. You get it because you're the absolute best, or you're bringing the most attention and money to the table. Right now, the UFC doesn't need Gaethje. The lightweight division is full of talent. If Justin doesn't want to fight, unless it's for the belt or a big payday, the UFC will just move on. They've done it before. They moved on from Nate, from Tony, from even Conor when he wasn't active. They'll move on from Gaethje. And with Dustin probably retiring soon, and Justin not wanting to fight unless it's for the belt, it opens the door for new contenders. Which brings us to Arman Tsarukyan. That guy should be next. He's the most deserving fighter in the division right now. He beat Charles, he's young, he's hungry. The only reason he's not fighting Islam next is because he had to pull out of the fight. That's it. If Gaethje really wants to make a statement and lock in a title shot, he needs to fight Arman. That's the #1 contender fight. Wait, that, and there's no debate. But Gaethje doesn't want to take that risk. He wants to skip the line and walk into a title shot based on past performances. Sorry, but that's not how it works anymore. And if he keeps turning down contenders, the UFC might just pair Arman up with someone else, maybe even Paddy Pimblett. I know that sounds wild, but the UFC is always looking for new stars. If Paddy's ready and Gaethje's not, they'll move on without him. So where does that leave Gaethje? He's at a crossroads. Either take the tough fights and earn the shot, or sit out and hope the UFC caves. But if history tells us anything, the UFC rarely gives in to that kind of pressure, unless you're a mega draw. And Justin, as much as we all love him, isn't quite that guy anymore. It sucks, but it's the truth.